What's up everyone, this is Kevin, your financial tutor, and in this video we're going to talk about how to get credit increases for all your credit cards. So we're going to talk about the different tips and tricks, how often and when you should do it, and also why it's important to do so. So let's get started. This method is going to work for all banks and credit card companies out there. I have personally done this on all 9 of my credit cards, increasing the credit limit, with some of these credit cards having a credit limit up to $30,000. Tell me down below in the comments what's your highest and lowest credit limit for your credit cards. Before we get started with the video, I do want to mention, please be smart with your credit cards. Make sure to pay off your balance in full every month and never carry a balance. I personally just use credit cards for more protection and also to get those sweet cashback rewards. Before we talk about how to increase your credit limit, let's talk about why it's so important. Number one, if you already have a small credit, or maybe you just opened up your very first credit card, you might have a credit limit that's only a couple $100s. I know the very first credit card that I opened up had a very small limit of only $200, and it made it pretty tough to actually keep track of what I was spending on it, because you want to make sure you never go over your credit limit, because that can negatively impact your credit score. The second reason why your credit limit is important is because of utilization. So one of the major factors in deciding your actual credit score is how much you actually use your credit. So maybe you're someone that has a small credit limit of say up to $1,000 you can spend, but you currently have $500 on that credit card. You actually have a credit utilization of 50%, which is really high and it's going to negatively impact your credit score. So if you increase your credit limit, most likely you can also increase your credit score when it comes to that scenario. So let's take the same example. We still have that $500 on the credit card, but now say we have up to a $50,000 credit limit. So we go from a 50% utilization all the way down to a 1%, which most likely is going to significantly increase our credit score. The third and last reason why your credit limit is very important, it could actually affect your credit score. If we take a look here, I'm using my Capital One to check my credit score. And for right here, it's saying if you have over a $50,000 credit limit, that is the best option for your credit score. But if you have anywhere from $0 to only $2,500 as a credit limit, you're below average. So as you can tell right here by the screenshot, that the more credit limit you have up to a certain point, it is beneficial for your credit score. So now we know why the credit limit is so important, but now let's talk about how to increase your credit limit. The first method is to do, well, nothing. You just sit around and eventually paying off your credit card on time and building up history. The actual bank and credit card company will automatically increase your credit limit. I've had that happen with both of my Capital One credit cards over about a 6-month span. When I first opened them, they automatically increased my credit limit. But I personally haven't had my credit line increases automatically with other banks and credit card companies out there. So now let's talk about the second option, increasing your credit limit for someone who maybe isn't as patient, like myself included, and you want to increase that credit limit here today. So a lot of the different credit card companies out there have it where you can automatically request a credit increase on your phone right here. Typically, if you just sign into your app or you go to the website and you go to your settings, account settings, you can typically find a spot where it says credit card increase. But before you actually request a credit increase, I would highly recommend that you check out this website. This website basically just tells you if they're going to do a hard or soft credit pull. Basically, if the credit card company does a hard credit pull, it's going to stay on your account for 2 years and it's going to slightly ding your credit score. So it's going to go down maybe a few points depending on how many hard pulls you already have. So that's why I always personally recommend to do it when your credit card company is a soft pull. Depending on your situation, it might not be worth it to get a hard credit pull on your credit score. But in other situations, it might be worthwhile, such as if you just open up your very first credit card and you only have one card and has a really low limit. I think in my eyes then, it would then be worth it to do the hard credit pull if your credit card company has to have one done in order to increase your credit limit. But also keep in mind, if your credit card company does a hard pull, it actually might be worth it just to open up another credit card, because in the end, you are going to have that hard pull on your account anyways. So once you found the credit increase page on your app or the website, you just want to fill out some basic information. So most of the time they're going to ask you how much you make annually. And I personally like to include my actual W-2 job that is reported to your taxes, and any kind of side hustles that I have that may not be reported to taxes, either because they're paid in cash or because it's only a couple $100s. But I personally add up all of those. The credit card companies don't verify this income, but there are certain situations. Say for example, if you say that you are a student and you're making over $100,000, there are definitely some red flags in that system and they might ask you to verify that income. So right here, I filled out all my information right here. Then after that, you simply just click slide to request. And it's a little bit different with every credit card company. Some of them might be as simple as this. Usually you will receive the credit increase right away, But if the bank or credit card company is unsure whether or not they should actually give you the credit increase, you might see something like this saying that they'll get back to you in 2 to 3 business days, and then you get to review your documents. Most of the time, that means you're not going to actually get a credit increase. Then if that does happen, I have one huge pro tip, and that is to actually call the credit card company. Once you call the credit card company, I would kind of explain your situation. Maybe you might mention to them that you could use this credit card a lot more often if you had a higher credit limit, and you could put more of your, say, groceries, car insurance, or anything on that, your monthly bills. While right now, maybe your credit limit is too low and you can't use it for your everyday items. I would not get deterred if you don't automatically get that credit increase when you do it through the system or through the computer. If you don't fall exactly within their standards, they might be a little bit hesitant, but like I said, I would definitely recommend that you call to get the credit increase. Another pro tip is, depending on your credit card company, is depending on how much you should ask for. There are a couple of websites out there, and I would highly recommend to Google whatever credit card you have, then credit increase request. And typically you can find a little guide or some website out there that'll tell you how much you should ask for. The general rule of thumb is I would ask for a 10 to 25% increase in your credit limit, but there are some wild cards out there, such as the Amex card, where I actually got a 3 times credit increase. So I went from a $5,000 credit limit to up to a $15,000 credit limit. So like I said, doing a simple Google search can really help you out. Another word of advice, if you already have a low credit limit to begin with, say only a couple $100, $200, $300, $400, you then, regardless of what kind of credit card company you have, most likely can increase that to $1,000 to $2,000 if you've consistently been paying off your credit card and been a good customer. So now we know why it's important to raise your credit limit and how to do it. Now let's talk about how often. So if you're consistently paying off your credit card each month, I would typically wait at least 6 months in order to request a new credit limit. I've seen with many credit card companies out there, if I request a new limit before the 6 months time frame, they will automatically deny me, even if I'm making my payment on time and being a great customer to them. When I was 18 and only had one credit card, I was actually putting a calendar invite on my calendar every 6 months to just remind myself to increase the credit limit, just because I knew this was the fastest way to increase my credit score. Once you have a credit card that has a decent amount of credit limit, say anywhere from a couple thousand up to $5,000 to $10,000, when you open up new credit cards from there, usually you get about the same type of credit limit. So you won't be started off at a $200 or $300 credit limit with a new card. The new credit card might have a credit limit of say $5,000 to $10,000 if that's where your typical credit cards are at right now for their limit. While you're waiting at least 6 months to increase your credit limit, make sure to always pay your credit card on time. And also I'd recommend to not max out your credit card. It looks really bad and it looks like you can't manage your money if you're consistently maxing out your credit card to the credit limit. Tell me down below in the comments if you guys actually use this method for yourself and if it worked. If so, tell me how much your credit limit actually increased. I have personally done this method for all my credit cards that do soft pulls when I request a credit increase. In doing so, I was able to take credit cards that initially had anywhere from $500 to $1,000 in an initial credit limit, all the way up to 10 to even some of my credit cards have $20,000 and even $30,000 credit limits. So over the long run, this really does work and is by far the best way to increase your credit limit. Well, that's it for the tutorial on how to increase your credit limit on all your credit cards. It's that simple and easy. If you guys have any questions or concerns, please drop a comment down below. If you guys enjoy this type of videos on how to make more money or how to save more money, subscribe to the channel down below. This is Kevin, your financial tutor, signing off. Peace.